So the chapter 2 is again about the continuation. Arjuna will feel those emotions, as Gopala was just saying, and then Krishna will give reasons countering those very arguments that Arjuna made. So chapter 2 is the science of soul. Actually, this chapter 2 is traditionally called as Sankhya Yoga. It means an analysis of basically a Sankhya Yoga means analytical understanding. What are they analyzing is they're analyzing the body and the soul, basically matter and spirit. So that's what is being looked at. And Srila Prabhupada names the chapter 2 as contents of the Gita summarized. So that also has a valid reason for having that as the name. Here I have used for the sake of simplicity. One of the major lessons we will learn in this chapter is about the soul. So I chose to title it as Science of Soul. How it's kind of close to Sankhya Yoga. And we will also see Prabhupada's take of observing the contents of the Gita summarized. That also we will see why Srila Prabhupada answers like that. And again, continue to pay attention. And this is chapter 2, the Science of Soul. And at a glance, if you want to look at this chapter is one of the longest chapters, but one of the important chapters because it kind of summarizes all the content of Gita, and also it summarizes a lot more than just the Gita. It gives an overall layout of one's life. So here, just Constantine Prabhu was sharing how after life experiences, and Indradevi was also sharing earlier that how Arjuna surrenders after giving all the arguments. Finally, he says, "Oh, I'm so confused." So he surrenders. So that is the first step in spiritual life when accepting a guru. So going through the dark night of a soul is not a problem, in the sense those moments could be helpful in actually clarifying what is important to us, and exhausting all the other options sometimes is the only way for a soul to come to Krishna. It's not the easiest way, but probably that's the most most popular way for the souls. They kind of exhaust everything else, and finally they understand, oh Krishna, nothing else works, I will now surrender to you. Probably that's not the best way, but it's probably the most popular way. We all have experience about that. So surrender or accepting a guru is the first step in spiritual life. That is being shown in these verses. And then what is the knowledge that the guru gives to us? So it's not the knowledge about how the stock market runs. It's not the knowledge about how to invest, because these days people do go to the spiritual master and take blessings. Oh, I'm planning to buy a house, I'm planning to get married to this person, I'm planning to have a child, I'm like, all these kind of conversations happen. But the core knowledge that the spiritual master is expected to give or is obliged to give is the knowledge about spiritual life. So the basic knowledge is the identity or the knowledge of soul. And once we know who we are, so then we act on that knowledge. So that is being discussed in verses 31 to 53 about the duties that Arjuna has and what happens when we engage in those duties. According to the knowledge we received from the Guru, we achieve perfection of consciousness. So all these things are discussed in this chapter. That's why Srila Prabhupada names this chapter as Contents of the Gita Summarized. So it speaks about Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and all these things. And also it speaks about perfection. And I'm pretty sure all of us are introduced to ISKCON regularly, hearing from different lectures and for many years. So you all have heard these terms, Sambandha, Jnana, Videya, and Prayojana. So the same format is followed in this chapter also. That Krishna speaks about the Sambandha means our own relationship with him, the soul's relationship with God. So that is the Sambandha Gyan. He speaks about that, that we are this spirit soul. And then he also speaks about Abhideya. So what do you do about this knowledge? So you engage in that relationship. You invest in that relationship. So that is yoga. He speaks about that. And what happens when we practice yoga, that is perfection of consciousness. So he speaks about all these things. We will see in the coming verses in detail. Is there anything that anybody wants to say or share at this point based on this slide? Okay, I'll go ahead. So that was one way of dividing the chapter, but for the sake of staying close to the topics that is happening according to Prabhupada and other acharyas, I have divided these into 6 sections instead of the 4 sections. The previous division that I showed in the previous slide is to give an overall idea of the chapter. It's nice, it's not, however, it could be more detailed. So that's how I have taken up this division of the chapter in the style of 6 sections. Is it 6? No, it's 5. So these 5 divisions. So in the first one, Arjuna accepts Krishna as his guru, and then Krishna gives the knowledge about the difference between the body and the soul, and telling him the real compassion should be shown to the soul, not his own soul, but all to other souls. So everything is discussed in those verses. And then Krishna speaks about Sakama Karma Yoga, and we will see what is that when we go to that section. And he speaks about Nishkama Karma Yoga. And he also speaks about the person who practices this yoga. What is the kind of consciousness he develops? So what is the symptoms of a person who lives this knowledge of the soul and yoga? So that's what we will see. Very interesting and fascinating sections, especially the last section is so beautiful. So in the section 1, where we are seeing Arjuna is continuing to argue, he's breaking down, and Krishna chastises him. Hey Arjuna, in between the battlefield, right at the moment we are supposed to face the war, it's a very crucial hour, and here so many people's life is at stake because you were very confident in fighting. That's why so many thousands of warriors have come on both the sides. They have assembled. If you didn't want to fight, these people would not have come. And you walking away from the fight at battle at this point of time is not going to stop the battle from happening. So you just one person thinking, oh, I'll withdraw from the battle because I think it is immoral. You're not going to stop the war. It's not going to happen. People have blown the conch shells and they're all ready to shoot, and they're just ready to jump into action. At this point of time, you suddenly understand morality and compassion and social values. You had so much time to reflect all these months when things were in under preparation. And today, when you're supposed to just start shooting the arrows, you have suddenly got enlightenment, and you're saying, I'll walk out of the battlefield. It is actually irresponsible. If thousands of people have come, they have come because you are a great warrior, and they are standing up for dharma also. That is why they have come behind you. And today, you running away from the battlefield, you are just leaving them without the shield of your talent and your ability, and they will be easily massacred. So in one way, you're trying to not gain sinful reactions, but on the other hand, you're just being such a coward, like running away from the battlefield, putting so many other people at risk. So this is the mood, and Krishna is like boiling with anger, and he's saying, what kind of a stupid argument that you're giving? Like, you cannot be afford to so weak mentally at this point of time. Wake up. Who are you? Do you understand? And don't just give into this weakness, into this stupid arguments. So just wake up and fight. So he's just trying to speak to uh, Arjuna like a friend. Like, imagine like you and your friend go to shopping and you travel 2 hours, and then you're finally in the shop, and then you enter, and then your friend or your spouse, he says, oh, I just don't feel like shopping. You're like, come on, you woke me up early in the morning and then said like, we need to go for shopping, we need to go for shopping. And right, we are inside the Whole Foods and or whichever shop. And then I think, do we really need those things? I think it's okay, we don't need them. Like, come on, like, we travel so far and we are right before purchasing, you're saying no. So it's the same kind of like that irritation, like Krishna is like kind of venting it out. He's just chastising right there, like, you're so stupid, like that kind of a friendly kind of an attitude he takes. And then Arjuna goes on, like when somebody scolds you, you start giving justification. Imagine like you're being scolded by your partner or by your friend. Hey, why are you doing that? So then naturally the tendency is to justify. His Holiness Damodar Swami Maharaj, he says like, for and justification is the service of intelligence in the service of false ego is justification. So if somebody is like kind of shouting at us or yelling at us, then immediately we come up with newer arguments on the go we can make up. So he's justifying here again that how, oh, it's a moral conflict, I cannot kill my elders, I how can I shoot arrows at my elders, and it'll my hands will be tainted with blood if I kill my elders and enjoy the kingdom later. So these same similar arguments he puts out, and then he says, I'm so confused, Krishna, I cannot understand. Even though I give all kinds of best arguments out of my head, I'm so confused what to do. So that is when he finally understands with his own intelligence he cannot fix this problem. He understands the magnitude of the problem is way more than his ability. So he surrenders to Krishna and he says, now, so far they were dealing like friends, and suddenly the mood changes of being a disciple and spiritual master. So in verse 7, this exact change happens. It's a very important moment. The verse 7 is a crucial moment in the Bhagavad Gita because that's where uh, the flow of knowledge begins only when he accepts him as a guru. So in our life also, we think like it's all going on, so many things are happening. But when we seriously commit to our practice, that spark happens. Okay, it can take a while, but whenever that spark happens, oh, I need to take it seriously. Then we see a lot of things starts moving in our spiritual life in general, or life in general, or spiritual life in specific. So similarly here, this is a crucial moment where Arjuna surrenders and then everything starts happening. And Arjuna's decision, he continues to say, it's so funny. He says, I'll surrender to you. I'm a disciple, surrender to you. I'll do whatever you say. And then in the next verse, he says, I have decided not to fight. He's like, I surrender. I accept whatever you say. Please tell me what to do. But please know that I have decided not to fight. And Krishna is smiling, like, okay, you're surrendering to me, and you're also like saying you're not willing to fight. Let's see where it goes. Um, and then he smiles also because he understands, because he's the one who is also orchestrating this bewilderment of Arjuna. Because Krishna is also very cheeky. He parked the chariot right in between Bhishma and Drona. He knows that Arjuna's heart will be pulled looking at these two people, because in the opposite army, everybody else could be like discounted by Arjuna as enemies. But Dronacharya, his dear teacher and his dear grandfather, the fatherly figure, because he lost his father very young and very as a young child. So he got that fatherly emotion and love and protection from Bhishma. So to already he has lost his father in his childhood, and to lose that fatherly figure, not just lose, to kill that fatherly figure is really a lot. It's not easy. So that is why Krishna actually parks the chariot in between Bhishma and Drona. So Arjuna's heartstrings could be pulled, and Arjuna, exactly that's what happens. So that's why Krishna is here smiling. Oh, okay. I have now set the scene for giving Bhagavad Gita for the world through Arjuna. And whatever I expected, Arjuna is going through those similar emotions. And also, he knows the reason for Arjuna's bewilderment, the solution. So he's smiling that don't worry, Arjuna everything will be good. So Krishna reprimands, that we see what is the character analysis. Krishna's mood is as a friend, he initially reprimands. He is showing how, what do you call, like irresponsible Arjuna's actions are. And then we also see how Arjuna turns to Krishna and seeks guidance. These are the major changes happening in the character analysis, like what is going on in the head of Krishna and what is going on in the head of Arjuna. And here life is, the lessons that we could see is life is a series of decisions. Like Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana took some decisions, and that led to the war. And Arjuna and his brothers took some decisions based on that, and that led to the war. So similarly in our lives, it's just a series of decisions that we have to make. And for any decision, we need to have knowledge. We need to have we need to be informed to take decisions. And knowledge usually comes from humility. And I know this is a very complicated concept, and we are only left with less than 10 minutes, like around 10 minutes. So kids, don't get bored. It's not that you cannot understand, but it just looks like a little complicated, but it is very common sense and very no, kind of a simple concept. There are four things in our life. So there are certain things that we know we can do, and we do know, we are aware that we know these things. Like say, for example, you may know, okay, I know swimming. It's a very important thing to know if you know swimming or not before you enter the waters. So to know that, yeah, I know swimming, I'm a good swimmer. So that kind of a caliber understanding. So there are certain kind of category of knowledge, that is known knowns, and certain known unknowns. I know I don't know swimming, and I don't know driving. So it's very clear. I know that I don't know this. So that's one category of knowledge. And sometimes in life, suddenly you will realize, oh, I never knew that I could do this. So unknown, we know that we had the ability to do, but we didn't know that we could do that. So sometimes you sometimes on a good note or on a bad note, like sometimes when somebody else at you, that's when you realize your ability to raise up your voice also. Okay, you could also be angry that much. That is one way of knowing. Or otherwise, like some hidden talents, like suddenly a situation comes up and you're like, you have to stand up to the situation and you realize, wow, I could do this, I never thought I could do this. So that kind of a unknown known. But the category of knowledge that Arjuna is going through is like the unknown unknowns. That is the uh, journey of all the conditioned souls in this world, that we don't know that we don't know. That's very dangerous, actually. What happens is, like, we take decisions without even knowing that there are so many things we are yet to know. And we think we are so awesome and great that we are making these decisions. And all those decisions are actually wrong, but we just don't even know that they are wrong. And we think we are so awesome. So that is called as ignorance. That's what Arjuna's situation is kind of um, is exemplifying in here for all the conditioned souls, that we do have a lot that we don't know spiritually, materially, what to speak of even materially, we don't know a lot of things that we don't know. But spiritually, there is a lot of things that we absolutely have no idea that those things even exist on the level of consciousness. Still, we are very confident in going about life. So that is what is called as ignorance. So this is what Krishna is trying to tell everybody, that there are so many unknowns that you don't know. And without knowing those things and making these decisions and arguments about morality, duty, compassion, so that makes no sense. So that's what he initially reprimands Arjuna, that you don't even know, but you speak so confidently. So that's what we will see in the coming verses. And how do we make right decisions in life? So there are four kinds of decisions. One is indecision, which happens to all of us sometimes. We just cannot make a decision. We just continue to think, ponder, remain confused. So it just goes on. So it becomes like we're stuck in a phase of indecision. And because we're so indecisive, sometimes out of time, like lack of time or lack of experience, being not so informed well, we make bad decisions. We may be very inspired, we may be very enthusiastic, but because we are not informed well, so we take bad decisions. And the other kind of decision in life is fake decision. We are informed what we are supposed to do, what is the right thing to do, other people are telling us, but in our own hearts we are not inspired, but we are doing it because that is the right thing to do. Others are saying, the society is saying, or life is dictating, the external circumstances, the financial situation, or the job market. So many things actually force us to take certain decisions. We are not completely inspired, we are not completely aligned, we're not completely happy, but okay, maybe another person in the family. There's so many things that we have to adjust in life. So we may take sometimes a kind of a fake decision. And the other thing is the right decision. That means we are informed about what we are doing and what is the right thing to decision to make. We are also inspired at heart, and those decisions are also aligned with our values in life. So when all these things happen, the decisions, sometimes the decisions may not be an easy decision, but generally those decisions could be considered as right decisions. Life is not very easy. I cannot put that in box of four categories in decision like that. It's easy to give a lecture like this, but life, I understand, is much more kind of has in between those boxes of indecision to right decision. But in general, to understand that if our decisions are informed, inspired, and aligned, then it's much easier for us to stand up by those decisions in the long run, and we probably will not regret making those decisions. So here, Arjuna is trying to make decisions, and he is unable to. He's confused, and that is why he's trying to ask Krishna, what is the right decision to make in this situation? And earlier we saw that to make decisions, we need knowledge. But how do we even acquire knowledge in this world? So there are three ways. I'm pretty sure all of you are introduced to these concepts, so I'm going to be very brief. So in Sanskrit, it is called as pramana. Where do we receive our knowledge from? So where do we receive knowledge in daily life? How do we make decisions in daily life? We see things. Oh, the milk is boiling. You take a decision to turn off the stove. The water is overflowing, so you take the decision to turn off the tap. So we see, and we kind of logically analyze, and we come to a decision. Sometimes you hear and take a decision. So that is Shabda. So Pratyaksha, Anuman, and Shabda. So these are the three ways that even in daily life. So I don't know what is the best place to buy a laptop. So I go to Google. I say, give me the best places with the great reviews. So that means I'm going to a trusted source. Or I want to buy something, I go see the reviews in Amazon. Like, is this product a good product to buy? So I turn to trusted sources. I observe. I come to a logical deduction. So these are the ways that we usually make decision in life. Pratyaksha, Anuman, and Shabda. Observation, logic and analysis, trusted sources. So yeah, we do need these observation and logic and analysis in daily life, even in spiritual life. But the core of spiritual knowledge comes from Shabda, that is the scriptures, from spiritual teachers, and from the super soul in our own heart. We do have some inspiration coming from, some intuition coming from our own hearts. So that is the major source of spiritual knowledge. And taking that spiritual knowledge, when we apply it, we use observation and logic. Observation and logic are not discounted, but there is a lot of chance to be influenced by our human tendencies. And that is why we keep Shabda as the predominant. And then we use Pratyaksha and Anuman to adapt that knowledge in our lives. And Pratyaksha and Anuman are not transcendental. They are limited by our senses, by our own intelligence. But scriptures are transcendental. So we apply the logic and observation based on the Shabda. I'm not going too detail in this topic because I'm pretty sure most of us are introduced to these topics. So any reflections until then? I'm going to close the class in few minutes. Any reflections, anybody?
Well, just about the bad decisions, I was thinking that most of the times when like, nobody likes taking bad decisions, but sometimes we take some decisions without even knowing that they are bad decisions in terms of career or in terms of like whatever matter that we are thinking about.
Yeah, I totally agree. life is, I said, series of decisions. Probably it's a series of bad decisions, right decisions, indecision. It's a series of all of those kind of decisions. There are many factors in at play. One is probably we could have actually asked for guidance. Probably we could have avoided that situation. Maybe it is destiny, but we could avoid the destiny if we are intelligent and if we take guidance as much as possible. So despite all the best arguments and all the best like kind of guidance and help and counseling, still sometimes some decisions may be a tough decision in our lives. We could not avoid that. So there are many factors. We can do what we can, what is in our control. Like take the perfect guidance as much as possible, be informed, don't take life very lightly, and understand the decisions will affect our lives. So just kind of a little bit of a wake up call. Like it's not that we will never make a bad decision. It's not possible for human beings. They will tend to make some bad decisions, but we can reduce it if we know that how to make better decisions. And
So,
sorry.
something I liked was that we have to go and ask a teacher, like a spiritual master, when we are on the conflict of a decision, like what should we do, like if we don't know.
Thank you, Sukaresh. Yes, Saurabhji.
Yes, I think one of the irony here is Arjuna doesn't want to fight because he does not want to kill people. But Krishna is saying by not fighting, also you are putting other people's lives at risk. So that's something that was interesting.
Yeah, true. Yeah, the more you know the background of the Mahabharata and what's happening, so this war is not like not a silly war. It's a great effort, and it puts Arjuna's decisions are putting many people's life at risk. Yes, Jeffrey, bro.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. My question is, so even if we make the right decision, does that mean that that decision is free from karma?
Yes, like it's a very nice question because I didn't clarify that part. I just put in as not to complicate the topic. I did not go into that division. So right decisions on the level of general life, even somebody is a non-devotee, he's not like practicing spiritual life, but still there are right decisions they do make because they are informed. There are some right values that normal, common moral values that people follow, and they are aligned in that sense. They're very inspired. Like it's a right decision in that sense, in that purview. However, when coming to spiritual life, those values, when I say aligned, that means that is aligned with God. That is called as yoga. So the very right decision of a devotee can become a yoga because he's connecting with the Lord in the heart, and he is seeing and asking and introspecting, will this decision bring me closer to Krishna? Is this decision in alignment with my values of spiritual life? So that becomes yoga. So those decisions, yes, that is why even general life of a devotee is not material, because even everything connected to a devotee, in one sense, because it is connected to their spiritual motives, they become spiritual in one sense. So that is why every decision could be a spiritual decision when it is internally aligned with their connection with Krishna. Yeah. And I'll leave you guys with this last reflection for the week. So how can I make right decisions in life? This is one thing we all could think, because that's every moment of our life. And also to understand that humility is the foundation upon which knowledge is built. So in the next week, we will start with the verses 11 to onwards of this chapter. So next week, we will pretty much complete this second chapter. So we are going, there is no said that every chapter will take 2 weeks. Some chapters may take longer, some chapters may take lesser. And I also wanted to keep it concise to encourage everyone to keep coming. So we will try to be balanced, being fast, being detail oriented, everything. So I hope some things were interesting and inspiring today. And thank you very much. If you want to share some reflections, please go ahead. And
Hare Krishna.
yes.
Pranam. So I just want to ask, like, there are times in life when, like, the time is very less, and you don't have the knowledge, right?
Mm.
But that time, and within a very short period of time, you have to, like let's take example of semester exam. I'm like, let's say for entire semester you didn't study out of some personal reasons or something. Okay, and then at the end you have a big syllabus to cover, and then at that time either you are bound to do right, or either you are bound to do wrong. How to cope up with, I'm just giving example, there are many other situations as well. So how to cope up with, or how to take decisions in such scenarios? Or either we leave it on.
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Ravi, for the question. So it's a very interesting question, because this is why I'm not being cliche. I'm saying from a personally kind of inspired place. Like, that is why spirituality is helpful for all aspects of life. Once a person understands, that's why probably that's why Krishna is also speaking this knowledge of the soul. Once we understand who am I, what am I doing, and that kind of a higher perspective when we have, even though it's very difficult to live like that all the time, every moment of our lives, it does help us to kind of safeguard uh, from going too away from the right decisions. We are human beings, sometimes we tend to make mistakes, but to have a spiritual understanding of life, an overall understanding of life, like what is the purpose of life, having some connection with Krishna, having some spiritual practice, helps every individual in the society. It would actually save them from much like kind of bigger problems in life, because uh, those values that they have, the connection that have, even if it is a very small connection, or like a kind of a weaker connection, it can help them in circumstances. So the details may change. However, having spiritual knowledge of who we are, what is the purpose of our life, so it's a very important thing everybody needs to invest in their life. It's not like only for spiritual people who want to be so God conscious or something. It's for every individual, for their own good, even for the sake of living peacefully on a material life. They need to have, what is the purpose of life? Why am I here? What am I doing? It could be going to college, it could be going to a job, it could be working, it could be taking care of parents, it could be taking care of children, it could be cooking, it could be anything in life. But once we have an overall idea, what is the purpose of life, then it becomes easy to make those decisions. Because the society lacks spiritual foundation, we all go through a lot, making small bad decisions, and then they kind of snowballing into and pushing us into a very difficult space. And then to come out of it takes so much more effort, and some things you cannot rewind. Some bad decisions have permanent effect on our emotions, on our relationships, on our financial situation, and so much. So yeah, we could learn from others, we could learn from our own past, and that way we know spirituality is not like a choice, like, oh, I can if I want to, if I like to, I can be spiritual. It's not a choice, actually. it's it's like a lifeline for the whole society. That's why someone like Prabhupada has an urgency when he speaks, that everybody needs to have this, because for their own good, even on the material society to run perfectly, to run smoothly, it would be much easier if everybody had some amount of spiritual consciousness. Religiously being divided is another problem, but what we are speaking about, having a spiritual consciousness, having some universal values.
So if I understand it correctly, probably, so if you are somehow even lightly aligned with the Krishna's purpose, or so it means the chances are that we are going to less that we are going to make wrong decisions. The chances of making of wrong decisions are very less.
Yes.
Am I? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, everyone, for taking your time out early on a weekend morning. So I'm really grateful that you all take out this time, and so thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Jai.
Thank you for the class.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, everyone.